Welcome back. The community discussion in the Marquette area on the cost of addiction continues next week. I'm with Greg Toutant and Gary Shelfo. Jerry Shelfo, thank you so much for being here. And just tell me about, Greg, what the state has done so far to respond to the epidemic.
You bet, Andrew. Yeah, thanks for having us here this morning. In 2015, Governor Snyder had appointed a statewide task force specifically to address opioid addiction. And it came through with a series in 5 different levels around recommendations. There's recommendations around policy, outcomes, regulation, enforcement, prevention, and then treatment. And then the outcropping of that is that what our community is going to do to adopt certain types of recommendations, especially around the automated prescription monitoring system, as well as the amount and type of prescriptions that physicians can write. And so it is quite a complicated system of recommendations that the task force have put forward, and we're excited then to have the state actually be a part of our forum process where they can articulate what has worked so far and then what needs to come next.
Now, Jerry, there's a reason that you're doing these forums, and there's a reason there's a state task force.
That's right. What we know so far is that in 2010, for example, the rate of opioid heroin poisoning deaths in the UP alone was 13, and it had risen by the 2015 to over 40, so 42. And so that we realize that that is a huge jump in numbers and that we need to do something about it.
So what, along with the forum, what are the next steps the state you think needs to take, or anyone?
Well, we need to work as a team, I guess, is a good way to say it. And our group is part of a local coalition that's working in the area to help reduce opioid addiction, among other things. And the reason we wanted the state here especially is because we think we should work as a team with the state, and so that we can all make a bigger difference.
Right, we certainly don't want to take this on within isolation. There's a lot of resources that the state has set aside for how to combat the epidemic that's out there, and we want to have a voice in that process to help shape what we do here in Marquette County.
It's an epidemic that touches people of all backgrounds. Now, people who have come to the forum, and you've been for 3 parts now, what have the discussions been like, and what's happening this next week?
Well, this next week, I'll let Greg talk a little bit more about that. He's kind of been the lead on this, but so far we've had everything from family members that have come to express, their interest because of a loved one. That we've had physicians and other medical personnel at different forums. So each forum has had a little bit of a different take, and therefore we've gotten a little bit of a different crowd there. But everybody seems to be on the same page and want to do something to help.
Absolutely. I think the common denominator just has been the personal toll that this has taken in people's lives. And there's not one facet of our community that hasn't been impacted by it. So that theme has resonated throughout the addiction series process. And we wanted to have a series to focus on this, not just to have one event that's one and done. And we know that we have to have a prolonged engagement with the community if we're going to make some lasting change. And part 4 in our series, certainly examining the state approach and recommendations, is a significant piece to that. We'll end our series coming up in May with a focus on treatment initiatives and what are effective strategies.
Okay, part 4 coming up Wednesday, April 19th. That's next week from 6 to 8 at the Marquette Algerisa building. Quickly, who will be part of this discussion?
Well, I always have to look at his name. His name is Jared
Welodhotsky, who is a analyst at the policy division with the state, and additional to that would be Larry Scott from the Substance Use Disorder Office at the state level. Both will be joining us via a video feed, and we'll also have a few updates from audience members and a few questions and answers.
All right. Greg and Jerry, thank you so much for being here this morning.
You bet. Thank you.
Vicki, back to you.